Hey guys, what's up? My name is Art. Today is Friday night, and welcome back to my channel. Today I just want to talk about some things, and I want to talk about some books I read. This is the second time I try to tape this because what happens during the very first taping, my mother called and says, "What do you want for dinner from Wendy's?" So I was like, for me, chicken nuggets, chicken nuggets with barbecue sauce. I'm fine, but that's okay. Ah, damn, this stupid weather is killing me. But anyway, what happened? I had some minor financial problems, but that's okay. That's life for you. Believe me, you got to struggle some way in order to make sure you're alive, and that's how I look at it. So guess what? It's gonna be a struggle. So I'm gonna be writing this as this one YouTuber I watch. It's called Riding the Struggle Bus. I'm gonna be riding the struggle bus, but everything's cool. Okay, so let's talk about the books. First book is Black Panther. This story kind of tells you his first, when T'Challa, which is the current Black Panther, how he became Black Panther. Okay, so what happened was that if you remember the movie to a certain extent, they kind of got that idea from here. Which, it's all tribal. You have to fight trial by combat. If you lose, of course, you become the Black. If you win, you become the Black Panther. And it's a gauntlet kind of thing. One person keeps fighting until you get overthrown. Once you get overthrown, you become king. You don't have to be royal blood or nothing. So it's open to everybody, which is kind of weird, but that's okay. One of the things about it is that this is one of the variant covers right here with him fighting Captain America. One part of the story was that during the World War II, Captain America went to Wakanda to warn them about the Nazis, but they killed the Nazis and he didn't know about it. And Black Panther kicked his ass. And I'm like, what the fuck? What? No. I'm like, no way. There's no way Captain America would have get his ass kicked by Black Panther. But then again, it wasn't T'Challa. It was probably his father or his grandfather, one of those two. Not his father, but his grandfather or great uncle or whatever. But then again, I kind of thought about it. It's like Captain America today versus Black Panther. 9 times 10, hands down, probably Captain America will probably beat him hands down because he has all that combat experience. But back in the 1940s, he was learning his stuff, but that's okay. This was a pretty decent read. The guy who wrote it, a lot of people flame his comic book writing because he writes from a black perspective, which other people don't quite understand. So it's kind of funny. I understood it, but then again, Black Panther is not black. They consider themselves African, but that's okay. I want to read a little bit from this. Let's see. And the funny thing, this is his word. This is his word. Black Panther: A Historical Overview and a Look to the Future by Reginald Hudlin. When the Black Panther debuted in the 60s, he was so cool, so perfect in character and concept and execution. It's hard to believe that it was done by 2 white guys. Okay? So what happened was when I first heard of Black Panther, when I was a little kid, I was like, wow, that guy's cool. Oh, he's black? He's cool. Because Spider-Man is my number one. So, and I didn't care if Spider-Man was white or black. And Black Panther, he was just cool. But when the white guys in question were Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, it didn't make sense. To truly appreciate their achievement, it's worth putting it into context. No black superhero before or after Black Panther is cool as the Black Panther. Sure, others comes close. Luke Cage is a brilliant Marvel response to blaxploitation, which is actually true. During the blaxploitation era, Luke Cage was created that way to try to get that blaxploitation power or whatever. As Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. was to James Bond, Super Spy Berlin, and the Milestone line of comics was wonderful and smart. Milestone Comics was an imprint of DC in the 90s where all black creators created. I shouldn't say all black, I should say all ethnic creators, because there's sometimes they have some Hispanic characters and some Asian characters in that group. But Black Panther is still the man. He's the king of his own country. He's rich. He's tough enough to defeat the Fantastic Four and Captain America. Now, he did defeat the Fantastic Four because in his debut comic of Fantastic Four 52, which is this is the cover, which is also very valuable. He defeated the Fantastic. He's basically like a black version of Batman. If you know Batman, because he prepares everything, so he can't be. And what happens to Fantastic Four? Technically, got there. He said, "I'm going to hunt you guys," and of course, he defeated them because of the fact that he was prepared for everything they can do. So is it a truth now? If they when the Fantastic Four, now the thing is, he started to lose because there's other things he don't account for. Okay. Now, is he really? And you know, the thing is, he's enough to defeat Captain America. That's up for debate because when I research this, I'm trying to figure out when did they fight in the comics, and I know they did in the past, the current version of Black Panther. But the funny thing is that I never seen it. From what I understand, they were equals. So every time they fought, they was equals. It wasn't like this person beat this guy. I might beat you one day, but I might beat you the next day, kind of thing. But anyway, but what happened is that was funny. But the way how, you know, but the thing is, of course, I liked this book with this story was actually pretty interesting. It's very interesting. So I mean, if you want to get out your comfort zone and read something, read this one, Black Panther. Who is the Black Panther volume? Because it gives you a different, unique story. And of course, the first two parts of Fantastic Four, his origin, is actually a good. It's what they call a grail. People look for this stuff. I can't even afford it. So since I kind of like this, I had to set this down like this. All right. All right. So that was number one. I spent a lot of time on that one because I wanted to read that one in its entirety. The second one is Flash, Volume 3, Guerrilla Warfare from the New 52. Now, what happened was originally when they did the New 52, they did paperbacks like all this, like paperbacks. Then they started doing hardcover. I'm not too big, you know. I'm not too big of the cover because I don't know. But then again, it keeps it kind of more bound and neat. This story, he basically fights Gorilla Grodd, his main enemy, and somehow they redid the story where Gorilla Grodd almost received Flash power, so he's been trying to chase Flash to gain his power with super speed. And then Flash decides, you know, screw this, I'm taking care of business. The funny thing is, right here, you see the what they call his enemies, what they call some of the rogues. They actually had to come together to fight all these guerrillas was trying to take over the city. So this is a decent book, very decent. You know, I was trying to collect all the New 52 stuff because they're easier to collect than the old school stuff. But you know, like I said, it's okay. Now this next one is something I wanted to read for a long time, a long time. Batman Hush. Hush, 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 hush. Now what happens, they even made an animated movie in which they kind of changed a little bit from the story from this book to the animated movie to make it a little bit more interesting. The same principles apply. So if you read this before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now the funny thing about this, I'll give you a little backstory. This was written by Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, and Scott Williams. Jeff Loeb is a very brilliant comic book writer. In the past 20 years, he's written some of the greatest Batman stories, like The Dark Victory, The Long Halloween. And the artist was Tim Sale, which is very, very, very dark. It's very dark and very interesting. So if you get a chance to read Dark Victory, now the thing is, Jeff Loeb, he also wrote Superman for All Seasons as well. And the fun thing is, even that was a good story. And I don't really like Superman like that. Amazing. But anyway, Jim Lee is a famous comic book artist. He is technically what most people consider the best comic book artist today. His claim to fame, I think I even have this. He started off in X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, in which he also introduced Psylocke, which I believe I have that one. I hope I do. Then after a while, after he became a superstar in the comic book world, the X-Men comic book #1, which is still the highest selling comic book in the world, that sold 8 million copies, and all of them not really worth anything. And the thing is, this guy knows how to draw. Jim Lee used to be a medical student. And so he knows how to draw an anatomy. So that's why all of his characters look so crisp and correct. He, after all that, him and a bunch of other artists got sick and tired of Marvel and DC, dictating what they can and can't do. If I create something, I can't reap the benefits of it. So they created their own comic called Image. He and every one of them had their own studios, and they had their own artists and their own roster and everything. Well, Todd McFarlane, which is the most famous one of them, created Spawn. Even to this day, Spawn is still going after 300 plus issues, which is the longest independent comic book ever. It beat Cerebus 6 months ago, which is 300, but that's okay. Independent. Consecutive. No relaunches, no repeats, no nothing. One was in 1993, 2020, like 17 years later. That's how it was. But anyway, I had the chance to meet him and get some of my stuff autographed by him, but was it last year or a year and a half ago or 2 years ago? But my friend who was going with me had problems trying to get a sitter together and all this other stuff. So I missed getting my stuff signed by him by 30 freaking minutes. So if I got there about 40 minutes earlier, I would have got 4 books. I would have gotten 3 to 4 books signed by him. Then again, he showed up in Chicago in February, but I also bogged down with some other stuff, so I couldn't get it. But anyway, enough of my problems with that. But this is an awesome story. If you saw the animated movie Hush, it's almost the exact same thing with some changes. The funny thing about it, everybody was wondering, now what happens? Jim Lee created this company called Wildstorm, which is famous thing with Wildcats and Death Blow and some other stuff and other stuff. After a while, he got sick and tired, and he sold all of his property. He sold all of his stuff to DC. So now DC owns all of his stuff, and in return, he becomes a super management kind of person. In other words, he's high up in DC. He could do whatever the hell he wants to do. And what happens when he sold it to DC, everybody's wondering, when is he going to draw Superman? When is he going to draw Batman? Funny thing is, he did draw Superman. His story he drew for Superman was not the best, but it was okay. But Batman Hush was awesome. And the funny thing is that it was kind of funny. I have most of all of them in regular comic form. Like for example, this right here, this part right here, this is the cover of his first issue. I have that. I have almost all of this without the paperback. I'm missing like 3 or 4 of them, or maybe 2 and 3. I don't know, but it's a thrilling story. And the funny thing is, it keeps you guessing. I'm like, because the fact that what happened is because I saw the animated movie first, I kind of knew parts of the story, but I didn't know every part of the story. There's like 3 different stories in this book. 1, who is Hush? 2, why is Hush so important? And 3, why is Batman running another gauntlet? So I'm not going to spoil anything of it, because it's best you read it, because guess what? I was glued to it. Took me like 2 days to read this, because I wanted to soak in every little thing. Plus this splash page right here is what you could say. Look at that. But anyway, that right there definitely is top notch. There's one more to go. Now, this last book, I bought this book. Funny thing is, I bought this book. I bought this book for a friend of mine. She, we used to hang out and play Dungeons and Dragons with some other people. Her and her husband is really cool, and I talk to them every now and then, on Facebook and stuff like that. Even though we don't hang out that much like that anymore, we still say hi and every now and then, happy birthday, and hey, how's it going? Hope you're doing good, and all this other stuff. She is a very big Spider-Man fan. She's a very big Spider-Man fan, and one of the reasons why we kind of got along because I'm a big Spider-Man fan as well. Spider-Man is my number one favorite superhero. Even though I have more Punisher figures than Spider-Man. I have more. Nope, I only got one Daredevil figure. Okay, but I got 2 Spider-Man figures. Only 2. That's gonna be remedied pretty soon. I just looking for the ones I really like the most. But anyway, so what happened is this one here is a collective bunch of stories called the Saga of the Alien Costume. Back in the 80s, there was a miniseries called The Secret Wars. It's a very recommended reading. I recommend reading that. What happened is that this being, really quick, this being called himself the Beyonder because he's from Beyond. He's like a super god. He can do whatever the freak he wants. He was intrigued by humanity. So what he did, he took the most virtuous of all heroes and the most villains of all villains, and majority of the best villains, took bits and pieces of all these different worlds and combined them together called himself into all one little world. And the Secret Wars is all the heroes, all the villains fight each other. Whoever wins get their ultimate wish. Spider-Man gets his costume damaged. He picks, all of a sudden, he finds some goo. The goo, covers him up, and it becomes a black suit. Then after a while, it becomes Venom. So this is some selected stories. This is not the whole thing because he was in this black suit for like a couple of years. And then after the alien suit was gone, he went back to the red and blue again. Then he switched to the black and white again. So it's kind of funny. The funny thing is, I have some of these books. I had some of these books when I was a kid. So 9 times out of 10, if it's not in my garage right now, it's been destroyed by the flood. And trying to get some of these are kind of iffy, very iffy. So let's take a look at this back one right here. Like this one I'm looking for right now. It's kind of a little bit pricey. But hey, no problem. This one right here, I just bought like last year. Pretty decent price. I'm looking for this one and the rest of these ones to finish off this book. And the thing is, it's awesome. Because what happened is that it kind of tells you what the story. I mean, if you already know about the story, you know the story. But I could tell you a little bit about it. Basically, he figures out that this suit. He keeps saying, "I'm going to have this suit checked out." And Reed Richards of fans, you should let me check that out. Yeah, okay, yeah. But guess what? He's so amazed what the suit can do. It can camouflage itself to make itself clothes. He can shoot spider webs without making them. So he don't have to make spider webs anymore. He can just spider webs. I can run change Spider-Man. Okay, there you go. He was so enamored by it. The problem is he couldn't figure out what was really going on. When he really found out what was going on, the suit got off of him. And another thing about the story, somebody in his life knew he was always Spider-Man. It revealed someone in his life figured out that he was Spider-Man. I'm not going to ruin that one. But this is a very, very awesome read. Like I said, I bought this for my friend. And what happens? I like the collection of books on it so much. I even bought this is my copy of it, and I bought this for her birthday. And believe me, she was so happy with that. And her husband was like, "Man, you don't know how happy she is." I'm like, "Why is that, dude? It's just a book." She likes Spider Man. I just buy her a book for her birthday. She goes, "Yeah, she loves Spider Man." Like, okay. Like how you like your guns? He goes, "Yeah." Okay. That was funny. But I recommend these books. So all four of these books I do recommend to you guys. I do recommend you reading them if you want to read them. I do recommend them. You get them and read them. If you have the Marvel Unlimited app, all these stories are right in there. All you have to do is just find it. Other than that, it's Friday night. Because I had some financial trouble, I wanted to buy some games for my PS4, so I bought 2 games for like $10. It was like $13, so that was fine. These are very old games, so that's cool. Love the idea of playing Doom 2 again. Doom 2, I mean, most of you probably heard of Doom Eternal, but Doom 2 was actually on the PC, and I used to play that all the time. I even bought it for my old laptop, which I still have. But the problem is, I didn't feel like loading up the to do that, so I bought it here. I just played it for a little bit, hot second. But that's cool. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Hope you guys enjoying your summer. Your summer. Your summer. Your summer, summer, summer. Oh, I don't know. I'm in a giddy mood. I'm in a very giddy mood. This is a roll of quarters, so I got to go to the laundromat this weekend and do some laundry. So either I'm going to try to do that tomorrow morning or Sunday morning. You know, try to get that laundry done. I can't work out yet because the gyms are closed again. But that's okay. I'm not too worried about it. A lot of people are complaining, but you know, hey. Worry about the things that you can control, and the things you can't control, don't worry about it. It'll fix itself. You know? Ooh! Ow! But anyway, that's enough of my ranting and raving for this week. I gotta figure out some other books to read. Because I'm starting to catch up on my promise of reading one book a week, and so yeah, I'm kind of like a month behind. I also got 50 regular comics to read because I've got all this comic book hauls and stuff like that. And there's 2 new boxes. There's 2 boxes that I ordered a month ago. I got word this morning they're finally shipped and on its way. So of course, when that shows up, we're gonna have a banger comic book unboxing because I'm excited for this one. After I saw this online, I decided to do it for myself. So I'm really waiting for this. Man, I'm excited. So, you know, one thing I want to say, you know, thank you for watching me. Thank you for subscribe. If you want to subscribe to me, please subscribe. You know, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your enemies to watch me. Say, hey man, you want to see this stupid idiot say some dumbass shit? Watch them. That's fine. That's cool. If you're a kid, just make sure you remember I do curse sometimes, and make sure you get your parents' permission. And if you are an adult, make sure you get your wife's permission, or your husband's, or your boyfriend's sister's cousin's boyfriend permission. Because sometimes you don't know what I'm going to say. I talk about comic books like you see here. I talk about politics sometimes. I talk about religion very rarely, but I do. I talk about movies sometimes. You know, I talk about whatever comes to mind. I don't want to be stuck doing one thing all the time. There's some channels to do only one thing, and that's great for them. But for me, I can't come up with stuff like that all the time. I got some ideas for some other videos coming up, and I can't figure out how I want to do it yet. So I mean, there's lots of different ideas I have floating around. I do talk with Dynamite Kid 100, you know. So you know, I do talk. You know, we actually do talk, and it's kind of hilarious sometimes when we do talk. But he's considered one of my really. He's kind of like one of my close friends that I never met, and that's kind of cool that way. And you know, I like the interaction from some. I like some of the interactions. You know, so you know, Obviously, my dinner, my chicken nuggets is here. So with that, I'm gonna say good night. If you like my stuff, subscribe to it. You want to share it? Go ahead and share it. Yeah, yeah, I'm coming. You know, if you like it, give me a like. If you don't like, give me a don't dislike. So, want to give me a shout out? Say, hey man, what's up? Please give me a shout out. I'll say what's up to you back. I like how you guys talk. I want to see how you guys doing. I want to make sure everybody's cool. All right. Talk to you guys later. How do I cut this off? Oh, I'm sorry.